Hey everybody, welcome back to our revision videos. I'm glad to have you back. So we just looked at a paragraph and we talked about how proofreading and revision are different. So now we're going to talk about how you can get more into actual revision and how you can use annotating to do that. So there's three reasons why I'm suggesting that you approach revision in this way. One is you've been practicing annotating all semester, and annotating is a really good skill to have. If you're in Professor Cruz's class, you've been annotating with him. If you're in my class, you've been annotating. And I hope by now that you're finding that when you read and annotate something, you get more out of it and it makes your essays easier to write. But more importantly, you understand the ideas in a reading much better when you're annotating. And when you're annotating, you're doing stuff like underlining things that are important, looking for places where you have questions, where maybe you disagree with the author or you have a comment or reaction to what the author is saying. And we're going to do that same kind of thing with your own writing. Now, revision is actually really hard. This is a very difficult part of writing because most of us can't get any perspective on our writing. We have a hard time seeing it from the outside. We wrote it, so it's really hard to imagine how somebody else might see it. So if you think about it yourself as like annotating something somebody else wrote, and you ask yourself like, what would I want to see in this paragraph if I were reading somebody else's work? What would be something that I might have a question about or would want to know more about or would seem really interesting? So that might be like a way to, so in that way, like annotating might be a way to help you get a little distance on your writing, which can help you do better to revise it. And doing this kind of annotating can also help some problems that most writers deal with. So most writers deal with a problem that they feel like their writing is repetitive. You say the same thing again and again and again. So like if we were in class right now, I'd say, raise your hand if you've ever felt that. And I would raise my own hand because I have definitely had that problem when I'm writing, that I'm like, I'm just keep saying the same thing. Or maybe you have a problem that you feel like every time you're writing, you just go off topic. You start writing about something different and you're writing to some flow and it doesn't all fit together. And I know I have that problem as a writer too. And it's really hard to get that kind of focus. And then finally, the other problem that a lot of writers have, and raise your hand if you have this problem, it's too short, right? I'm raising my hand here because I definitely have that problem. A lot of times we get an assignment and it's like, you want me to write how many pages? So annotating your own draft can help you solve all of these problems. So let's look at what it might look like. Okay, so we have that same paragraph we were just working with. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to underline the things that seem important. We're going to make comments on things that we want to know more about. And we're going to think about how we might use the readings some more. Because one of the best ways, if you feel like you don't have enough ideas or it's too short or you're repeating yourself, is to say, okay, where can I connect back with this conversation that's going on in the world about this topic, right? So let's go ahead and do that. As individuals, we'll never really be able to be ourselves without upsetting someone. Whoa, okay, I'm going to underline that. Now, that seems like a pretty good start to the paragraph, but I'm going to underline it because it seems important. Society has these preconceived notions of what a person should be and the way the person should act. Okay, I'm like preconceived notions. That phrase could say more. I'm like what? If you are a minority, your options are even more limited. Okay, right? Especially like right now at this particular moment, that's definitely really important. I definitely want to know more about that. Okay. Now, this writer is a Black woman, so she's writing from that perspective, just so you know. Okay, so she says, if you are a minority, your options are even more limited, and that logic is harmful. In my own experience, I've been told that I listen to white music and that I want to be like a white girl simply because I had an interest in things that are not considered the norm for African Americans. Okay, so like there's so much here that I would want to hear more about. Okay, so like what's white music? And that might even be just like give an example. right? Are you talking like Taylor Swift? Okay. All right. So I want to be like a white girl. Okay. Right. And then I want to know, like, what does this mean? Like, give an example. Okay. Simply because I had an interest in things that are not considered the norm for African Americans. So this not considered the norm. Okay. I want to know more about that. Like, I'm like, whoa. Like what? Okay. So are we like, does this mean like stereotypes? Right? Like we have stereotypes of like, I don't know, white people like mayonnaise. And if you're black and you like white and you like mayonnaise, that makes you white. I think mayonnaise is gross, by the way, but that's just me. So, okay. So we're going on. Society is limiting, yet we all subconsciously vie for the approval of others. Okay. So I'm reading that and I'm like, again, like I want to underline that. Well, I'm like, okay, there's a contradiction here. Right? Why do we want the approval of something limiting? And then maybe do we? Right? Do we want the do we all? Do we all right? I don't know that we all vie for the approval of others. I know the student who wrote this and in a lot of ways she wasn't looking for approval. So, I don't maybe that's not always true. When around certain people, I will not listen to the music I really enjoy because I don't want to be made fun of and told to turn it off. The people I'm surrounded by decides who I am at that moment. Okay, wow. That's also like really important. I'm underlining that. Um, like, would any of us say that to ourselves? Like, really? Society wants us to fit in boxes, but we can't. But we can't. Okay, so here again we have like this is really important. There's a contradiction going on. What's going on? Okay. And then this thing about like what society is telling us, this all relates to Tatum. Okay. So Tatum, right, she has this whole looking glass self thing and how society and how our identity comes from how people react to us. So, like I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, I need to connect with Tatum. So that's just one paragraph. So that's going through and like annotating one paragraph and thinking about the places where there might be questions or ideas. That is, and then there's all of these places where there might be examples, might be contradictions that we need to think through, might be places where I'm not sure that I agree with myself if I'm the writer. I'm not sure why I said that. And then places where I might connect with the reading. So you can imagine that if as a writer I went back and started doing all this one paragraph is probably going to become more than one paragraph. It's really going to grow, expand, and become a lot deeper. And that's exactly what we're looking for in your writing for college. We're looking for you to do that kind of thinking that really takes you deep in a conversation with the readings that we have and deep into your own ideas. So what I want you to do right now is go to your informal writing and choose a paragraph and try to do this. Give it a try and see what happens. See if you can underline to find the things that you think are important, and then make some comments to find things that you might have questions about and places where you could connect to the reading. Okay, so go do that right now, and then we're going to come back for another quick video. All right, I'll see you in a minute.